Manoj. During this crisis, we have seen a lot of adaptive reuse in the building segment. The process of using existing structure, facilities, different building to serve as a new purpose, like a stadium, school, hostels, etc., being converted as a COVID care centers. Okay, this is something new which we have never seen in the past in our life. What this mean a new dimension in our current design itself needed for our future building? That is flexibility in use and handle these kind of crises. Is it really is going to be the change process which we are looking for? How do you think as urban designer, Mr. Manoj?
My first exposure to this type of a situation was when I was in Delhi.
Mhm.
I just completed my post graduation, and I was there in Delhi one morning, and suddenly this, you know, Bhuj earthquake happened, and we were there. I mean, together, friends. I was kind of experiencing the earthquake for the first time in my life. So it took me a little bit of time to understand that it's an earthquake. Initially, I thought it was some sort of problem for me. I'm losing my balance, and something was going, shaking. So the serious situation of this particular thing, I came to understand it only by afternoon, and by evening we were asked to go to Bhuj to help in putting up this disaster shelters. So later, I mean, similar kind of a situation happened in Kerala, where the tsunami happened. That
Mhm.
time also I could visit this particular site. And recently, the flood situation in Kerala in 2018, that also exposed us to many tough situations like this. So whenever there is a disaster, whenever there is kind of un what do you call expected things that happen, obviously in the human settlements we may have to do certain immediate response, resilient building process through which we you know use different spaces for a purpose which is totally meant for what we have intended, and what is happening will be very different. And now, in this particular COVID situation, our institution, we being an academician, also our institution is like the first line treatment center for COVID patients. So our institution has been converted into hospital now. So it is running as a hospital. And our students from the product design wing, they came up with an isolation board where we could fix that isolation board. We designed that we can put it up within 5 minutes, which is hardly 25 kilogram weight, and we can put this isolation pod in any place, anywhere. The reason why we did was uh, possibly once the number increases, we may have to go to larger spaces like a stadium or India Stadium, where we don't have, it's like a huge hall, and it's not that comfortable to be on a bed in a huge hall, in that scale. So we have to scale down. So scaling down a huge space is not that easy, and also it's a disease which is spreading fast, and we do have norms how to control it. So we wanted to design a kind of a contained module where we can control this particular patient within that space, which gives him comfort, which gives him privacy, which gives him some sort of protection too, and also for the people who are exposed to. So the relevance of inclusive design solutions and the concept of adaptive reuse drew more attention during the pandemic hit, as you said rightly. So stadiums, school, hostels, and other public buildings have been converted as COVID care centers all over India and all over the world, in fact. And it is essential to take preparedness steps for managing crisis during disasters. So such a dynamic approach and flexibility in architecture and urban design can bring about a greater change in the way we respond to disasters. For instance, as you said, I was just mentioning how we have converted schools into and campuses into hospitals during flood situation, and all these examples show the potential of different perspective. So utilizing the resources and services effectively is obviously a part of the design process. So multi-functional spaces and flexibility is going to be the key terminology for the future design. So we have to adapt to that. And the pandemic hit confined the population to indoors. That is something which we have to really understand. Homes which are defined by our boundaries or properties, which we never had this type of a situation earlier. A drastic shift of office works to work from home culture and online learning platforms are all coming to a new norm in the post-pandemic scenario. So converting office spaces into affordable housing units. I mean, I'm not. I mean, there is a fun in that. Converting office spaces into affordable housing units. An option for work from home in future. Reduction of overhead charges and increase in productivity. Reduction of mobility and daily commute system. Effective online education platforms combined with essential traditional methods of teaching, introduction of farming and revival of the traditional crafts, improvements in the digital market and job opportunities, advanced quality in office spaces, which may include automated facilities and natural air conditioning system. So all these things are examples that is happening. I personally feel if you start looking at life in a positive way, you can find a lot of positives in the things that is going around. Let me tell you very frankly, I mean, I started my career in 1998, 99, and it's almost 20 years now, more than 20 years now, I'm into this particular thing. And frankly speaking, for the first time in my life, after that, I went back to my school days. I started feeling like a kid, sitting at home, enjoying the things around me, spending too much time with family, which I have never had an opportunity that once I started, getting into a BARC and went away from home. And the first time I was feeling all those things, it was quite a novel experience for me. So this type of, there are several positives. I could spend time, engaging my kids, looking at what lessons they're learning, and being with my wife and discussing various things that happen at home, then doing little bit of gardening without affecting work. But at the same time, I could do the work in the same intensity I was working. I reduced a lot of my traveling. I reduced a lot of my, what do you call, unnecessary expenditure of time on, unnecessary things. So everything got confined. So I think that, I mean, in the future, if this type of things are going to happen, we have to seriously look at, a different possibility as far as design is concerned. So I take it that way, like cities will get less crowded and slow down their pace. That's what is happening now. That's what we are seeing. And I don't feel that we'll go back into that phase back, because it is not just one pandemic is waiting for us. I seriously feel with the climate change and all this, change in, what do you call this, our, I mean, pattern of, seasons. I think these type of viral attacks and all those things are going to be more and more. So uh, it is going to stay with us at least for some time. Maybe this will be preventing it with some sort of vaccine. Next thing will be coming up. I'm 100% sure. So rapid migration, like for example, that from rural to urban and all. Now we can see we have seen that, reversion of that happens. The migration from the metros back to the countryside. It's happening now. So these type of things will happen, and we cannot continue at the same speed but we were. And somebody was explaining. I mean, one of our senior um, technologist was discussing this with me some time back, saying that these type of things used to happen in the past also. Like for example, you can see how the world reverted back after the 1914 or 1928, whatever it is. I don't remember the dates. And she said it's come, but the thing is, here now the technology is different. So many things like virtual reality is in place. If I want, I can go to a university in US and give a lecture standing there and come back. Now we are sitting in different places and convening together, and we are, addressing a forum. So this is the change that is happening in the world. I think we have, as from the design perspective, we have to really look into these aspects, so that this is going to have a major say in the way we look at our dwellings, the way we look at our workspaces, and the way we look at our physical environment. So obviously, this is the right time to rethink about the concepts of physical
Well,
environment around us. That is my opinion on this, my stand on this.
thank you, Mr. Manoj.